Okay, here we go. Perfect. Boom. And we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a very special edition of Off the Record on the People's Podcast this evening. We have an incredible guest with us today, Brother Mikael Shabazz, who's going to give us some powerful information as well as inspiration. First of all, assalamu alaikum, sir.
Alaikum salam, sir.
Yes, sir. This means a lot to myself, my family, and the viewing audience of the People's Podcast that you would take time out of your busy schedule to come have a conversation with us this evening. The first thing that I want to know is, when did you first hear the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad?
Oh, yes, sir. And let me also say, brother, it's an honor, brother, for you to invite me on this platform and to speak before the people and share my little journey in Islam. I first came into contact with the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and his representative, Mr. Farrakhan, back in 1988. I grew up in Washington, D.C. I had signed up in the Marine Corps when I was 17, my senior year of high school, just before I turned 18. But right before I went to boot camp, basic training in that September of 88, just before that, I had caught the tail end of 11 o'clock news coverage of the dope busters who had just cleaned up Mayfair Manors, or they were clashing with the drug dealers at that time and cleaning up Mayfair Manors and Paradise Apartments. I'm very familiar with that area because I grew up not too far from there in Northeast. And so I was not really listening, but I was listening. But the thing that caught my attention was when the news broadcaster made the statement and said, and they did it with no weapons. And that my ears perked up. I said, what? Wait a minute. What they did what? They went in the Mayfair Manor with no weapons? Oh, snap. So now I'm glued to the TV trying to catch the last little minute or two, of what they were covering. And in my mind, I said, wow, God has got to be with those men. God has really got to be with those men to bless them to go in that area and successfully, basically infiltrate and take over. And but right after that, so that image stuck in my mind. Then I went to basic training in the Marine Corps and I graduated. I came out. I was stationed at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, and I came in contact with a 5% brother. He wasn't in my unit. He was a friend of a brother that I was roommates with. And so we kind of hung on him a little bit, and he had a copy of the Supreme Wisdom. And I remember he let me look through it. And I'm looking at the student enrollment and the actual facts and the questions and answers. I'm like, whoa, and then he snatched the book from me, closed it up, and wouldn't let me see anymore because I was trying to get into it.
Yes, sir.
Wow, I had a few conversations with him. But Public Enemy was then the real influence because I'm a big Public Enemy fan. And in 88, they had come out with Takes a Nation of Millions. So, the videos were playing on the TV. So that's all the Black Marines were talking about. Did you see the Black stealing an hour of chaos? Did you see that video? Did you see this video? And I'm hearing Chuck D saying, Farrakhan is a prophet, and I think you ought to listen to what he could say to you, what you ought to do. And then the other one was, don't believe the hype, where he said, I'm the follower of Farrakhan. Don't tell me that you understand until you hear the man. It's Farrakhan. I don't know that. I don't know that brother. And I used to swoop home, what you call it, a swoop. I used to drive home every weekend to DC from Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, on the weekends, on Fridays. And one Saturday when I was home, I was driving down Minnesota Avenue, and I heard a brother say, "Final call, Farrakhan." And I was looking around, and I said, "Wait, oh, it's a brother in the median right there." And I pulled up to him. I said, "Brother, where's Farrakhan? What you said Farrakhan, right?" He said, "Yeah. I'm selling the Final Call newspaper." I said, "Well, what is that, brother?" He said, "Oh, this is the news period for the Nation of Islam." And I said, "Well, where y'all meet at, man?" He said, "Oh, we over on Kenilworth Avenue." I said, "Oh, I know that, sir." I said, "Man, give me that paper. What's the paper?" He said, "I said, Dad, I ain't no chance. I get a brother $5. I took the paper and I zipped on home." So now over that weekend, I'm reading through the paper and I get to the tail end and I look at what the Muslims want and what Muslims believe. And I didn't see anything in there that conflicted with my religion. I was raised in the church at that time, but I had always been looking for God ever since I was a child. And it almost seemed like those words on the page just kind of like just clicked with me, like, wow, I think this is what I've been looking for. And then I'm reading the autobiography of Malcolm X, and I ended up transferring to in 1990. I transferred to Camp Pendleton, California, and I came in contact with another Muslim brother who happened to be in my unit, but he was an Orthodox Muslim brother. But he was telling me where the mosque was in San Diego. He had known some of the brothers in Muhammad Mosque number 8, and he had given me a card. Matter of fact, the brother's name Keith Muhammad, Brother Keith. Shout out to Brother Keith. He had a store there, and he was selling Final Call tapes and books and beads and trinkets and clothes. And Brother Keith he was a hustler. He had a little something of everything.
Yes,
but he had a business card to his store. And man, as soon as I got opportunity, I drove all the way down to San Diego and found the brother's store. And he had back then, you may be young, you remember cassette tapes. We had cassette tapes.
Okay.
This before CDs and stuff, came out and got popular. We had cassette tapes, and he had cassette tapes of the minister's speeches. And so I had gotten a couple of tapes of the minister, and that's what I would play on my trips back and forth to work. So that was my first introduction to Islam, basically from what I remember from the Dope Busters. That stuck in my mind, and it just kind of led me on a trail eventually to the mosque. And I made my first mosque meeting in September of 1990 at Muhammad Mosque. It was on a Friday night, a study group, and there's a brother, his name was Edward X at the time, was Minister Edward X, but he became Minister Rahim Muhammad at a later time. The minister had given him a name, and he was the minister. He was the first person I came in contact with. The next time I came was in like October or so on a Wednesday night. And then I came on a Sunday, and they made the announcement that Minister Farrakhan was going to be speaking at the LA Coliseum December 10th of 1990 for the Black Family Day celebration. And so I bought the tickets for that, and that was the first time I heard the minister live. And at that time, I was a non-commissioned officer, they call it NCO in the Marine Corps. I was a corporal, and I was a communications instructor at that time. But I was in a grunt, what they call a grunt unit. I'm in the infantry unit, and they let me go teach communications at the School of Communications at that time. So I had a little more free time. And man, when I heard the minister that first time, he was talking about what was transpiring in the Gulf during the beginning of the Gulf War. And everything he was saying was just clicking. I was like, wow, yeah, he's right. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's true. And he was telling the brothers, don't go. You don't need to be over there, and it's not your fight. It's not done. When he gave the whole backdrop to that thing, man, that was a day of decision for me. I had to, I wrestled with that thing. Like, wow, what am I going to do now with this knowledge and truth I've come into? So that was my first introduction within that year and a half period of time in Islam. And several months later, I made, after I came back from the Gulf War in 91, at the end of 91, I was still processing in San Diego. I started the process, but they told me, well, brother, you're in the devil's military. You can't be in God's army if you're part of the devil's military. And I said, okay, well, let me figure out how to make the transition out of this thing, because I still had time to do. I had signed up for 6 years. I intended to make it my career, and I had signed up for 6 years, and I had only done about 2.5 years at that time, going on 3 years at that time. And so I started the process that April of 92 for Conscious Objector. And there were many other brothers who were doing that at the time. And it was a very controversial time, because we're in the middle of a war. And then you got Black Marines and soldiers and sailors saying, well, we don't want to fight. We don't want to fight your war. And that causes a lot of problems. And I had a lot of problems, and in that process. It was a very lengthy process, but I got through it. And that's my beginnings in Islam, brother.
So, yes, sir. Wonderful. And I just want to read to you so many of the comments. Brother Daniel sends a greetings to Sabir. Both of my sisters, Miriam and Amos, to Valerie. And Brother Daniel says he bears witnesses as well. And thank everybody who continues to watch, like, share, subscribe to People's Podcast. Okay, so you're in the ranks. Once you got in, who was very instrumental in training you in the nation?
I don't even know why that's a hard question, because you got to understand, in the Marine Corps, I was one of those gung-ho type Marines.
Okay. Okay.
You know, when I went to basic training, you know, I graduated honor man. That's the first in my platoon. I was the honor man of my platoon. So I graduated first. Then I went to communication school. I graduated first in communication school. I got my choice of duty station. I had a meritorious promotion, you know, and I was looking to become an officer and go through officer candidate school, OCS, making those transitions, because I intended on making this a career. So I got a lot of training in the Marine Corps, desert warfare training, outside of basic. I'm in the infantry unit, communications, had a lot of training before I came to the Nation of Islam. And when I was starting my conscious objective process, my godfather, he's passed now, Master Gunnery Sergeant Charles Washington. He used to be the NJROTC instructor at McKinley High School in DC. He had also taught at a number of other places, Phelps, and he had taught at Texas Prairie View A&M, taught the officers. And he had done 3 tours in Vietnam. So he was like one of my main influences outside of my father and my grandfather. And so a lot of training from my father and my grandfather, because they're all military. And
Yes,
so my godfather, my uncle was a Marine Corps veteran as well. So I was surrounded by men who just had military training. So my training started very early as far as military is concerned. When I went through the conscious objective process, there was no one in the mosque who could really guide me, you know, through that process. There were brothers in the Navy who were getting out, but the Navy is a little more lenient, and the Marine Corps is under the Department of the Navy, and we're the fighting force. So it's just kind of they weren't as lenient. I got threats. I got all. I mean, brother, I went through some stuff with them, you know, especially when I went overseas and got on ship. And then there were 2 brothers in the Navy who had the audacity to start a mutiny on a ship. At least that's what we were told at that time. You know, I came to know those 2 brothers because they processed and got registered to San Diego. And one of the brothers was thrown in the brig and taken to the brig in the Philippines in Olongapo City. He and I actually had a discussion about 2 years ago, or last year or so, about that, because there was a typhoon that happened in 1991. And that typhoon hit the Philippines and Southeast Asia, and it redirected our route. We were on our way to Hong Kong at the time, but they redirected us to go to the Philippines to help evacuate the dependence on the base, because they got hit by a typhoon, and then Mount Pinatubo, which is a volcano in the Philippine Islands, it erupted. Hadn't erupted in decades. It erupted a typhoon, so now they had like 5 or 6 feet of ash, and then it rained on top of that, so it was like concrete. And it collapsed all the buildings on the base. It pretty much decimated the base. I didn't know that one of the Muslim brothers was in the brig at that base. And the jail cell had broken loose. And he and I got to talking about, like, wow, we were in the same area, in the same vicinity, at the same time, you know, but there was nobody who could, as we came back and I started my conscious objective process, there was nobody who could really give me guidance on that. So I kind of stayed away from the mosque at that time, even though I was processing. And I was studying every day. And I was practicing every morning, writing my letter. And then I happened to come back to the mosque. And that's when I met Brother Captain Salim Muhammad. May Allah be pleased with his service. And he was there temporarily because his wife, Sister Gwendolyn, his wife at that time, Sister Gwendolyn, was there at Muhammad Mosque number 8. And I thought brother was visiting, but then they had some issues that were going on in San Diego. And brother called the minister, and the minister told him, well, brother, why don't you stay there and see what you can do, you know, to help the situation. And so Brother Captain Salim was there. When I knew who brother was, because I'm watching all the old tapes. And every time I see the old videotapes, you know, they kind of blurry, poor quality, but I always see Brother Captain in the background, or he's moving around, and you know, you always see brother in the backdrop behind the minister, and so I always paid attention to that brother. So when I saw him in the city, I'm like, oh, praise be to Allah, you know. And then when we got acquainted, and the brothers introduced me to him and told him, this is one of the brothers that's doing the conscious objective out of the Marine Corps, you know. And as I continued the process, he just encouraged me. Once I became registered, man, that brother told me one day, he said, look, the devil gave you all those materials, right? I said, yeah. He said, you got books and things on different stuff, how-tos. And I said, oh, yes, sir. You still got those, brother? I said, yes, sir, Brother Cap. He said, brother, don't throw that material away. He said, because some of that information we can use. He said, but much of it, is dealing with fighting and killing. He said, brother, we can't deal with that on that level with the brothers in the ranks. He said, but the other information, he said, don't throw that stuff away, So my walk with Brother Captain Salim wasn't so much of him training me militarily. He knew how to utilize people who had skills already and put them in the proper places they needed to be. And he would always have a saying, you taught me well, Op. And he said that to me when we were doing security somewhere at a venue, and a shooting went off while we were there. And I watched the whole thing unfold, and everybody scared. A brother pulled out it was at a venue. A brother just pulled out a gun and fired in the air. But if you didn't see what he did, you just heard the gunshot. You didn't know what happened. Well, I just happened to be near him, and I observed the whole thing, and everybody scattered, but I didn't duck or run anything like that. And after and Brother Captain standing right next to me, and people are running behind us, grown men are running behind he and I and hiding and ducking and stuff, And after that event, he said, you taught me well. I said, you me, Brother Captain? He said, you taught me well, I said, what are you talking about? He said, brother, when the gun went off, you didn't move. He said, brother, that's training. That's training. He said, see, there's certain things that you learn in the military that everybody just can't give you, but you condition that, brother. He said, I can't teach you that, brother, but you taught me something. He said, now I know that, but you reminded me, So he would always say that. You taught me well, and I started throwing it back at him. Every time I learned something from him, I had to maneuver and that brother was smooth with it. He knew how to talk to people. He knew how to just, he was a diplomat. He was very good with diplomacy, but he also knew how to read people very well, and I share this all the time with brothers when I'm talking on Brother Captain, and maybe some of the audience not familiar with me, but what endeared me to that brother was one day I was a lieutenant under him, and I was responsible for opening up the mosque. And I ran to the mosque, and I just got out the Marine Corps, so time's kind of hard. I had a child on the way. I had two already, one on the way, and everything is due. Bills are due. And I'm going through a rough period financially, And I remember driving my Bronco to the mosque, and the E light was on. And the E light come on, I mean, hey,
yes sir, yes sir.
But I always had the saying, E don't mean nothing till you run out of gas. So
Yes,
I zipped all the way to the mosque and made sure I beat Brother Captain and opened the door, and I started cleaning up and sweeping up and straightening the mosque. And I was dealing with I was a so-called paper captain as well. And I had just sent off, this was on a Wednesday, so I just sent off for the paper on that Tuesday. And there was, the captains get 5 cents off for the dollar on the paper back then. And there was money left over. It was like $20. So when Brother Captain came in, I gave him the $20. I said, Brother Captain, I sent the money, but there was an overage of $20. The paper money's paid for, but what we calculated how much it would cost to send it, because you used to have to wire that money. It was before all the digital stuff. You used to use Western Union and wire it, and it would cost a certain fee. And I said, Brother Captain, there was $20 extra, and I gave Brother the 20. He went to his office. I continued sweeping, and he came back out, and he gave me $10. He said, here, soldier, you need this. I said, no, Brother Captain, that's the money from the papers. That's your portion, that you get the residual. He said, no, I'll take it. You need this. No, Brother Captain, that's the money for. He said, listen, take it. You need this. I said, Brother Captain, why you keep saying I need this? He said, brother, I can see it on your face. I said, what on my face? He said, brother, you just like me. We broke, busted, and disgusted, but we can be trusted. And I got a tear shedding down on my eye because I'm like, wow. He said, you think I travel with the leader all this time and I don't pick up on things the leader picks up on and learn how to read people? He said, the minister's very good at reading people. He said, but I've been observing for 25 years or more with the minister, and I learned how to read people. He said, but not only that, he said, we've been soldiering together. He said, when my brother pinky toe hurt, my pinky toe supposed to hurt. That's how tight the brotherhood's supposed to be. You understand? I said, yes, sir, brother. He said, so brother, your pinky toe was hurting because my pinky toe was hurting, brother. I'm hurting for money. So I know you hurting for money. But didn't the message say your brother got a bowl of bean soup, you got half? He said, so brother, here's half. But I'm telling you, from that day on, you say one cross thing to me about Brother Cap Sleeve, you're allowed to get slapped unconscious. I made that brother on that merit of brotherhood. And that was my relationship with him from that period on. So that was my training. It wasn't so much the military aspect, but it was how to deal with people and how to really establish a brotherhood.
Praise be to Allah. Excellent, excellent. Yes, sir. Beautiful. And Brother Daniel said teach. My sister Miriam said all praise due to Allah. And shout out to Captain Salim forever. And his grandchildren have been on the podcast, his son Amir as well. And I'm gonna make sure I send this to them so they can hear the kind words that you said about their father and grandfather.
Yes,
all right.
Sir.
Yes, sir. So my next question for you is let's talk about the Most High Min Farrakhan.
Yes,
okay.
Sir.
Yes, sir. So I heard you had a conversation with him. What did that take? What was that about?
In 2011, but well, before that, I was in Atlanta at the time. I was on the captain's staff. I was teaching military science, and I was observing some things around the nation that I was seeing. And I'm a solution and resolution oriented type person, you know, and I was losing sleep over some issues and things that I was seeing on a national scale, national level. And so I started writing, and I started putting together things that I knew from the military and organization, and, you know, trying to address a major issue that I saw in the Nation of Islam, you know, and talked about the problem, but I presented solutions as well, you know, in that problem. And, you know, my wife said, you know, that's, babe, what you wrote is like a thesis. And I said, so that's the thesis? That's what a thesis is? Oh, okay. Well, I call it a thesis, you know. And so I emailed it out to just about every believer and some of the officials that I had on my email list. I did that in December, like late December. I didn't get any response back from any officials from top on down. And the response that I got from it was hundreds of believers I sent to around the country. And the responses that I got from a lot of the believers was, well, brother, you know, the things that you're talking about, I understand and I agree with you, but I don't know how this is going to be received. You know, it makes us look bad, and, you know, makes certain people look bad. They might think you're talking about them. I didn't put no name, I didn't mention no names, you know, so like it was an attack, a direct attack against anyone. And so those believers that expressed concern, I said, well, you know, at the end of the day, if we don't talk about the problem, how are we going to deal with the problem? You know, and I put the solutions in there. So I want feedback. I'm always asking for feedback. So in January, this thing is still circulating, and I'm getting a lot of feedback from a lot of believers, none of the officials. And a brother called me, and he said, brother, do you know if Yamanis Lewis Farrakhan has seen what you wrote? And I said, well, I sent it to the email that I have for whoever receives the emails for the minister. You know, I don't know. He said, well, brother, would you want the minister to read this? Oh, yes, sir. I mean, hey, if I'm gonna get criticized by anybody, it better be that man, you know, good, bad, and different, whatever, I'll take it, you know. He said, brother, I have a way to get it to the minister. I'm not gonna go through and say who the brother is, and I don't want to blow up his contact. But he said, brother, email me a copy and put in this form, this, that, I followed the instructions brother gave me. And it was on a Wednesday that brother had got it, and he called me. I was at my job at the time. He said, brother, I got it to my contact, and they told me that the minister had a very busy day, but they're going to put it on in front of him on his agenda first thing tomorrow morning. I said, praise be to Allah. Okay. And so the next day was January 28th. This is 2011. I can't forget the date because it's the same day that there was a baby plane that was seen over the Temple of the Rock in Jerusalem. And new people had video footage of this baby plane that came over the top of the rock. You can look it up on YouTube. And it's like an orb sitting over top of the rock, and then it just shoots up in the air. And everybody's, whoa, whoa, whoa. You know, so it's that same day. So at 11:02 that morning, matter of fact, you asked me about my son earlier. My son was training at C. Joe's house. I was homeschooling him at the time. And I had left him at C. Joe's train, C. Joe Steve Muhammad. I left him at a train, and I went to the mall to go to the bookstore to grab some more materials for him for his studies. So while I'm at the bookstore, my phone rings and it says Palace Phoenix. And I had that number from when Brother Captain Salim was there, and I would talk to him from time to time. So but I'm thinking it's the minister's assistant that's calling to tell me, that the minister received it. So when I answer the phone, and I know protocol, I've been around the nation 30 years, and I know protocol. I know when a minister calls someone, he don't call them directly. It's usually a secretary or someone that tells you to stand by, so that you can be presented to the minister. I know that protocol. So I'm thinking, it's just going to be the sister just confirming me. And brother, I hear on the other end of the line, is this Brother Mikael? I said, yes, sir. He said, do you know who this is? I said, yes, sir, Brother Minister. He said, oh, brother. He said, brother, I just finished reading your thesis this morning. And I was inspired by what I read. And it uplifted my spirit. And I thought to call you immediately. I said, praise be to Allah. And he started going down point for point, the things that I addressed in my thesis. And I'm like, in my mind, like, whoa, the minister really read what I wrote,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I had to run to my car while he was on the phone because I was inside the bookstore and I didn't want to pass out. And I'm 6'2", and I'm 250 plus pounds, and ain't nobody gonna pick me off the daggone floor. So I said, let me get to my car so I can sit down so I don't pass out. So I'm in the car, and we talked for 16 minutes and 20 seconds. And the minister asked me several questions about my background, and he asked me, he said, brother, have we met before? I said, oh, brother minister, I've been around you periodically a number of times over the years. I said, but I've never spoken to you formally. I said, matter of fact, the last time you were in Atlanta, Brother Vaughn and I was sitting outside your door and you came out and you did give us the greetings. He said, oh, brother, in those type of environments, I don't get an opportunity to really engage with the brothers and get to know the brothers, And he said, brother, what is your profession, if I may ask? I said, well, right now I'm doing armed security. I've done executive protection. And I've been in commercial transportation, for years. So between security and commercial transportation, I said, as a matter of fact, Brother Minister, I've always hoping I get an opportunity to share with you. I was on one of the last details with Michael Jackson, and before Brother passed, I said I had given him a book on his 50th birthday on behalf of all the FY on the staff. And I wrote all of our names inscribed in the back of the book. My name was second on, you had Brother Duran on your program before. Brother Duran was the team leader, and I was responsible for the security at the complex, at the house, and then I was secondary on the movement team, and I will always drive the trail car behind Brother Duran. And I told the minister, I had all the brothers' names in the book, but then a couple months later, I was one of the first ones that got cut by the shady dude Tomei. If I ever see Tomei, he getting smacked unconscious too. And I say that because, and Brother Duran can bear me witness, that brother worked his behind, Duran worked his behind off. Tomei worked his behind off trying to get rid of us. And he told us to our face, I don't like you brothers. I don't like you FOI. Y'all don't carry weapons. How can y'all secure the biggest entertainment icon on the planet and you don't even carry weapons? How do y'all, I don't respect that. When I go to Lebanon, I got a cadre of 20 men with AK-47s that greet me, and everywhere I go, this, that, and we just looking at him like, you a fool, but he told us, he said, man, I'm gonna get my men on this detail. I'm getting y'all off of here. I was the first to get cut. And right after I got cut, about a month or two later, I got a call from my Filipino life instructor and said, hey, but Mikael, are you back working with Michael Jackson? I said, shoot, I wish I was. I missed that money. I'm on vacation, but my funds getting low, I gotta figure out what my next move is going to be. I'm about to move to Atlanta over there with C. Steve Muhammad, And he said, well, I'm asking because I just saw an article that Michael Jackson converted to Islam and changed his name to Mikael. You fooling? He said, no, look it up. Google it. Sure enough, it was on it, and he has the exact same spelling as my name. Too many that have it spelled like mine. So I'm talking to the minister and I'm recounting that story. I said, I just wanted to share with you that we had an opportunity to share your book, Closing the Gap, with him. And when I heard about him changing his name, I said he read the book because he was an avid reader. I said, I know he read the book. That's the only way he could have seen the spelling of my name to even take that on, you know. And that was a part of that conversation. And then the minister told me at that time, he said, well, brother, are you planning on attending Savior's Day? This is 2011. And I said, oh, brother minister, I won't be able to make it because I just got custody of my son and it would be a financial hardship. He said, oh, brother, then I will send for you. I said, whoa, praise be to Allah. Thank you, sir. He said, I said, but brother, my son is only 11 years old. He said, oh, brother, don't worry about that. I will send for both of you. And I'll have my secretary call you and make the necessary arrangements. And if time permits, Allah willing, I would like to have you for dinner. Praise be to Allah. So I'm pumped, I'm excited, you know. I never got the opportunity to have the dinner because it was a very busy Savior's Day. But that was the conversation. And at the close of that conversation, the minister said something. He said, brother, you know, in 1957, he said, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad wrote to his laborers, his ministers, and he talked about how the mosque were honeycombed with this type of hypocrite, you know. And he gave me some words of encouragement when he shared that, you know, and basically told me to keep my head up, no nine. And before we get on the phone, I said, I love you, brother minister. He said, oh, I love you too, brother. Assalamu alaikum. Well, Islam, jumped off the phone. And yeah, my son and I flew to Chicago. We flown to Chicago. And it's funny because when we got to the airport, you know, I'm used to traveling and whatnot. So I'm trying to find the shuttle that takes us to the hotel that they booked for us. And I passed Brother Leroy. And Brother Leroy said, Mikael, did you see Malik on the plane with you? I said, brother, I don't know no Malik. Who's Malik? Brother, you know Malik. I said, Brother Leroy, I don't know which Brother Malik you talking. I don't know Brother Malik. He said, brother, from Atlanta, bro. I said, oh, well, brother, I don't know, brother. And I walked past him, get my luggage. And then about 3-4 minutes later, Brother Leroy calls me. He said, Brother Mikael, I'm supposed to be picking you up. I said, you said Brother Malik. He said, brother, I didn't know it was you. He came back, we met. He said, brother, I don't know what you did. He said, I deal with all the VIPs, you know, from out of the southern region and whatnot. He said, but I don't know what you did to get on the VIP list, brother, but I'm glad you on. It's good to see you, brother. I said, well, you about to leave me for Brother Malik.
Brother Malik. Praise be.
But you know, Brother Josh, one of the things that I would like to touch on is, and I actually put that thesis, I printed it in my first volume of my book on military science. And I also told the story that I just shared with you is what was the response from the minister, because many of the believers was concerned about how would that be received? How would this look that you point out these things that are incorrect or wrong, or, you know, the way we do certain things, this, that, the other, you know, even though you're offering solutions, the fact that you're talking about this, it's a problem, you know, and they were all concerned. And, you know, what I found interesting was the minister's response, you know, wasn't the same as one of the officials who talked to me about, you know, they said they lost sleep. They said they read it and they lost sleep over it. And I'm thinking like, wow, you lost sleep over what I wrote? Really, brother? You know, and I didn't tell them at that time that the minister had already called me. I really wanted to see what the brother was going to say, you know. And he said, yeah, but there's some controversy. This might not be received well. And I said, but I'm not worried about that, you know. I'm already knowing the minister didn't approve. I don't care what nobody else said to that. It's a done And but I'm saying that to say it's interesting to me to note that many of us we think we have our finger on the pulse of the NOI, but we're so far off because we think we're in line with the minister. But then when you hear from the ministers, like, we got to kind of check ourselves in our thinking, and it's not aligned. No matter if we're close to them or on the periphery or whatever, what we're studying, and it's like we got to kind of check that sometimes, because things that we'll say to dampen a believer's spirit about a particular subject, especially when we're trying to solve problems, we think we're representing the minister when we're not, and that's not his spirit. His spirit is, hey, we're going to, as a matter of fact, that was one of the things he said in that conversation that I remember. He said, brother, we need this type of critical analysis in the Nation of Islam.
Mm.
He said, brother, I'm going to have a copy of your thesis sent to all the laborers for them to study. I don't know if that ever happened. I'm not making up something. The FBI they got the recordings. They can bear witness that what I'm saying is the truth. I don't know if that ever happened. But again, it's like the minister's point is like, well, no, we need critical analysis. You had Dr. Liam on the program and he talked about the deliberative dialogue. It's like, I don't know why we run from that. And that's what distinguishes us from I'm gonna say it in the way of lack of observation of the white man's operations. And what I mean by that is when white folks make mistakes, they analyze their mistakes. They form think tanks, and they sit around and they say, okay, what went wrong? And who was responsible? This, that, okay, well, how did not go along with the plan that we had? And what could we have changed? They analyze that whole thing, and then they create policies and procedures out of that think tank for the next mission or the next objective so that things don't go wrong. And they learn from their mistakes. We scared to talk about our mistakes. We act like we don't make none. And we make plenty. Allah just be covering us. His mercy be covering us some stuff, but we're making some gross errors, brother.
Absolutely. Excellent. Praise be to Allah. Well, thank you, Brother Mikael. I just want to give you some of the love from the comments. Brother Dan said, good teaching. Honorable Mr. Farrakhan told the truth. Your 3 volumes of the book is a great resource for the FOY. Praise be to Allah. So Sabir said, Allahu Akbar. Okay, we have a lot more questions for you, sir, but I have a quick 60-second commercial break for all of the sponsors of the People's Podcast this month. I want to thank everyone, especially those who come through in the clutch every month. We appreciate every sponsorship, every donation. Please cash app to $sign the People's Podcast. Thank you all very much. My brother Rashad, Street Premier Media Production. He has a 4K camera and a drone. He does television and film editing. Thank you very much. Please reach out to him. My sister Miriam, ABC I Love Me children's book and coloring book, both of which are available on Amazon. My sister Naima, Stay On Point Dance Academy. She teaches ballet virtually to young girls all across the country and right here in the studio in Atlanta, Georgia. We love our tiny dancers. Sister Rashida Rafat, Raw Communications, 5-year special promo. If you are working on a book, she does copy editing, content development, and media relations. Thank you very much, Sister Rashida Rafat with Raw Communications. Please reach out to her. Student Minister Robert L. Muhammad, conflict mediation, squashing the beef out of the Southwest region, Austin, Texas. He does a great job making our community safe and a decent place to live, assisting in that area. His wife, Sister Fudia Muhammad, Children of the Most High, giving birth to a God in the science of child rearing. Thank you very much. Make sure we all go out and get that book. Brother Kenneth, bow tie maker extraordinaire. He'll ship bow ties to you anywhere in the country. Sister Sherry Muhammad, Asiatic Minds Online, a virtual school for young kings and queens teaching STEM and all of the knowledge that you need to help raise young gods. AsiaticMinds.com. Dr. Henry M. Carter, King Henry's Turkey Legs, right here in Atlanta, Georgia. Brother Rashad Muhammad, COVID-19 disinfecting cleaning services out of Chicago. My father's book, A Soldier in the Movement of Christ, and his new book, Down Is Not Out, AbdulSharif.com. And last but not least, my 2 books, Cleopatra, which is a children's book, and No Father, No Excuse, both of which are available on Amazon. Thank you all very much. Right back to our brother Mikael. Okay, so I want to go back to Michael Jackson. He's one of my favorite entertainers of all time. Yes, sir.
One of your favorites, brother.
Yes, sir.
I saw Brother Duran teasing you about it. I thought Duran be joking on. He that's a good brother. I love Brother Duran. But he playing on some time with brothers.
I told him, I said, why don't you just let it go? I like Michael Jackson. The whole world like Michael Jackson. He makes it like it's just me. But yes, sir. When you were with Michael Jackson, what was it like, doing executive protection on somebody who was so well known?
Brother, when we got the call. When I got a call in Vegas, it was from Big Brother John in Vegas. And he said, brother, Brother Captain Halim called me and he told me to put together some soldiers that I trust and know, they got some training for this detail. Didn't say what it was for, He said, well, brother, you one of the brothers I know that's trained and, I'm going to bring you on and Brother Kim. And, we kind of, it's really just going to be us 3, And I said, okay. And we had this meeting at the house that Brother Duran talked about. And that's when they told us what was going on and who was for this, that, the other. And Brother Captain Halim, and shout out to Brother Captain Halim, brother told us at the time, he said, look, we have a unique opportunity because there's some that came before that kind of, messed up some things. And it's rare that we get an opportunity like this, so we got to be mindful as brothers. So there was certain criteria and stuff that Brother Captain Halim laid out for us to meet, and objectives that we had to meet. And so my role and assignment at that time was I was supposed to be assigned to doing security on the house where he was going to be staying at. They were moving him from the hotel to the house. And one of the things that I liked about our unit that we had 12 brothers. Myself, Big John, and Kim were the main 3 over the brothers in Las Vegas. Brother Duran and the other brothers that came from LA, they were over us on the movement team, and we kind of took direction from them. Then we all kind of answered to Brother Michael Amir. But one of the beautiful things about our experience, we always had briefings, before like first thing in the morning, we had a briefing to kind of assess what's going on, what we got to be aware of, this is that, the other, and then anytime there was any type of movement or activity or anything at the end of the day or afterward, we have a debrief, and same thing, kind of analyze if something didn't go right or how can we do better or get some attaboys, some kudos or whatever, And so I remember the first time that I was actually around Michael Jackson was he was going to the studio over at the Palms. And I can't remember which artist that he was supposed to meet over there, but it was to listen to some of the music that was supposed to be on his next album. And so this is my first time like physically around him. And I'm not a starstruck type person. Yeah, Michael, I'm a fan. I'm gonna give you that, but I'm not fanatical.
Yes,
I grew up on MJ, so I'm back at ABCs. I used to watch the cartoon, the whole 9. I'm back. I grew up in the 70s, so Michael Jackson is big. But I'm not. I've been around entertainment celebrities. I'm not starstruck. But I remember we got in the elevator in the Palms, and that was close proximity. And I got this feeling like he wasn't comfortable with me, like because I'm not a face that he recognized the first time he seen me, And he kind of just kept checking me out on the side and had his children with him, And then he kind of unwound and started talking and playing with the children. Like he was saying something under his breath. Oh, I know what he kept saying. He kept saying, Matola's a devil. And they would giggle. And I was like, but I couldn't understand what he was saying at first because he would do it in a deep voice that don't sound like Michael Jackson. It was like, sound like demonic. He said, Matola's the devil. And the children would giggle. And I'm like, standing behind, I don't know, what are they giggling about? But I'm stern faced, But then I figured out he was talking about Tommy Mottola, and he's telling his children Mottola is the devil, and they're cracking up on that thing. That's my first time physically around him. Then I got bumped up to the team where I was responsible for the children, myself and Brother Kim. So anytime they would go out, we would take them out to the go-kart, to the amusement park or whatever, that was stressful. That was more stressful to me than dealing with Michael Jackson. And the reason being is because, think about it. You have children, brother?
No, sir.
Not yet. Okay. You are someone's child. I know your father would kill concrete, slay dragons, shoot the moon, and then some to protect his children, to protect you and your siblings, because that's how fathers are.
Yes, sir.
So can you imagine the kind of danger that Michael Jackson's children would be in? The kind of threats to snatch them 3 up, kind of ransom will be put on them, brother. So to me, that was more stressful than MJ, because MJ is a grown man, but these are children, and we got 3 of them, and it's just a few of us trying to watch these. I mean, that was the most stressful part to me, was being over the children. But it was a great responsibility, but at the same time, it's like, man, look, I don't know none of these folks around here. And if something God forbid happen to these children, I know they come off my neck, you know what I mean? On my watch, can't happen. But we kept them safe. And we actually had a couple of incidents with the paparazzi when it got real. Matter of fact, his birthday, the children wanted to go out to the mall at Caesar's Palace and pick out a gift from his favorite store. Sony store. He owned Sony, part of Sony, and they wanted to go to the Sony store and a couple places to buy a gift for their dad. And by this time, paparazzi had found out where we were because of that damn Tomei dude I mentioned earlier. And so they started following our motorcades everywhere we went, you know. And so we tried to switch up and take MJ one way, and I had the children, myself and another brother had the children going another direction. But the paparazzi split up and followed us as well. And I'm talking about they driving erratic. They running red lights. Because I can drive. Now, back to training. That's one thing I did learn from Brother Cap Salim, how to drive. I had some driving training from the military, some tactical driving training. But Brother Salim would drive, but Cap would drive next to me or ride next to me in certain things, and he'd be tap me on the lip, tap me on my thigh, telling me to do certain things. But no, left, move. No, do it now. Go through. Yeah. And it's like, oh, okay. And I pick up pretty fast, and I'm paying attention to the brother. You know, so he did teach me some cues and stuff on driving. And so I'm maneuvering. I'm maneuvering this SUV down the Las Vegas Strip through the traffic, and I know the patterns and I know kind of how it flows. And these paparazzi, man, they damn near wrecking their cars trying to keep up. And so by the time we got to near the Caesar's Palace, one of the big things was Michael Jackson didn't want any pictures of children. Mind, they ain't had a makeup on, they ain't had a mask, they ain't had nothing. So for the paparazzi, a picture like that of the children is worth several thousands of dollars, you know. And so at that time, when we got closer to the venue, I said, you know, I told brother, hey, I don't feel comfortable enough for us to get in that venue, you know, without being hoarded by them. And it's just the two of us. And so we called back to Michael Amir, told him what's going on. It was like, hey, brother, I'm bringing the children back to the house because I just don't want nothing to happen, you know. And that was the first time I've ever seen them shop. The children, they actually put their seatbelts on and they was back. They was like, what's going on? I said, there's a car that's following us and it's being very reckless and aggressive. And I don't know who it is or what their intent is. So we're going back to the house. And they were like, okay. And they shut up and leaned back, didn't say a word, you know. So I'm saying that to say doing security for the children to me was more stressful than MJ because MJ was grown and he's a very smart guy, kind of handled himself, you know. And then there were several times, as a matter of fact, we had the keys to the vehicles that were left for security. So I'm on watch. And like I said, I didn't really move with the team in the movement. I mainly stayed at the compound. And one morning, about 4 o'clock in the morning, Michael Jackson walks through the door. He says, I gotta go to the hospital. I need to see my doctor. I said, okay, Mr. Jackson, I'm gonna call the team. He says, no, you drive me. Yes, sir, Mr. Jackson, but the team, he said, no, it's okay. It's okay, you can drive. You know where the keys are, right? You have the keys? I said, yes, sir, Mr. Jackson. I'll be ready in 10 minutes. You don't want me to call the team. I just said, no, it's you're driving. It's okay. I'm like, whoa. Let me call the team. Anyway, I gotta go to protocol. So I'm trying to wake them up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Hey, Brother Ron, hey, Michael Jackson's trying to go see his doctor and he wants me to drive. He was like, okay, bro, well, where y'all going? I said, we going over to Red Rock. Can you meet it? Oh, but we meet you there. So he got the team together. So I'm driving by myself, Michael Jackson in the back, small talk conversation with me, trying to figure where I'm from, this, that, the other, you know. And I'm thinking, boy, this is an awkward car ride here because I don't never drive with him. He don't never talk to me. You know, this is my first time talking about. I don't want to say nothing wrong. I don't want to say too much. Yes, I don't want to be rude and not say anything at all. You know, got to answer his questions. We get him over to Red Rock to his doctors. The rest of the team meets, and I go back to the compound because the children they at the house with the other security. You know, and unfortunately, he was gone for a couple of days dealing with his issues that he was dealing with, whatever that was, and he came back. So that was the first time I'm around him by myself. You know, the next time, Brother Michael Amir was doing some film stuff. You know, he was learning film, and Michael Jackson had a film director or someone who knew film from a college that was coming to the house and homeschooling the children. So they were doing little projects on their computers, putting together little short films. Then like, so Michael Amir was doing something as well. And some of the brothers of us participated in the little project. It was like a martial arts spy James Bond type. Yeah, you talked to brother, ask him about that. He probably still got that tape. And I played a role in it. And they were all calling me sensei in the, you know, I carried the title Shihan in martial arts, but for the film, they calling me sensei. And so Michael Jackson wants to roll out with the children and just drive them down the strip. You know, it's just me. half the team had gone home because we didn't think he was going anywhere, you know. So half the team was already gone. I'm trying to call him. He's like, no, you drive. It's okay. It's okay. So he gets in the car with the children, and we start driving. And he's like, what do they call you, sensei? Sensei it is? Now I know he's smart. I know he reads that. I know he's trying, you know what I'm saying? He know what sensei mean. It's Michael Jackson. This man read 1,000 books a day. I know, I said, yes, sir, Mr. Jackson. I said, technically I'm Shihan on it, but for the little project, he said, oh yeah, I watched the film that Michael Amir put together. It was very entertaining. I had a lot of laughs. I enjoyed it. So I'm glad you enjoyed it, Mr. Jackson. And as we're driving down, there was a police car. I pulled someone over, and the children asked a question about, you know, Dad, why did the police have that man stopped? And he says, you know, that's just what they do. They harass people of color, and that's just the way it's been in this country. And you know, it's improper and it's wrong. I'm hoping he's okay. And I'm like, wow, he teaching these little youngsters what's really going on. Like, hey, y'all sleep on Michael Jackson if you want to. That man is sharp. Sharp. So those are just some of my interactions with him. And one of the other things I remember, it was funny because Brother Michael, I mean, we had Michael Jackson at his house for like 3 months and nobody knew where he was. And mind you, we making maneuvers through the city. We showing up at the hotel casino shows. You know, we sneaking them in and out of theaters and all that. We was like Ghost Protocol up in that thing, man. That's why, the brothers I was with, Brother Duran and all them soldiers from LA, they were some bad soldiers. Now, you know, they might have got on my nerves sometimes, you know, but that's what brotherhood do. But there were some sharp brothers, and we, as a team, when we moved, brother, we had that brother like Ghost Protocol. Nobody knew where he was at. Nobody knew where he stayed. By the time you saw him, he was already moving on, going on somewhere else. You know, I remember we was in circus with the children. They ain't even had their face paint on, you know, so people don't kind of know. But then somebody pointed and said, hey, ain't that the, and I'm standing right next to them, but they're playing a video game. And the other brothers are walking with Michael Jackson on the other side. So he's got a disguise on and people are kind of pointing, but they don't really know. But they're putting it together that, oh, him and the children are around. And I remember a sister came up and said, are those Michael Jackson's children? I said, excuse me? She said, are those Michael Jackson's children? I said, I don't know. I'm waiting for my son to get off the roller coaster. She said, oh, and walked off. I'm lying. I'm with them, but I ain't gonna let her know. I'm not giving me information, you know. But they started pointing when she saw me moving with them later on and stuff, you know. But I remember we took him out one night to, we went to go see the Cirque du Soleil show, Ka, at the MGM. But matter of fact, it was a long day. And we had this brother, we had him here for like 3 months. And Michael Amir had just told us, he says, wow, brothers, this is the longest that we've ever had MJ anywhere. And nobody knows where he's at. The fans don't know where he's at. Paparazzi like, man, you brothers are doing a damn or a hell of a good job. Well, how we say encouraged, like y'all doing a good job. Next thing we know, his father wanted to meet. Joe Jackson wants to meet with him. And Deron and them are trying to figure how they gonna get Joe, and he lives in the city. And they're trying to figure how they gonna get him to this house, this location, without him remembering how to get back. And they asked me, and I said, I don't think that's possible because Las Vegas ain't but that big. And he lives here. The streets ain't hard to figure out. You know, he gonna pretty much figure it out. But they did whatever they did, took him on some crazy route. And then about 2-3 days later, after they met, Joe Jackson drove a purple PT Cruiser, purple with flames on the side. Like you cannot miss this vehicle. You can't miss it. Purple, like a dark purple, metallic purple with flames on the side. Shows back up at the house 2-3 days later, blowing the horn, demanding to see his son. The brothers on security tell him, no, this was just a meeting house. He doesn't stay here. You know, this complex, this place belonged to Mr. So-and-so, whatever. He's demanding, he's adamant. They played it off. About 3 or 4 days later, Jermaine Jackson shows up. He drives all the way from Beverly Hills to Las Vegas in this ghost Bentley. You can't miss it, bad car, you know. He's demanding to see MJ. And if he don't see his brother, he's gonna call the paparazzi and tell him where he's at. And we're like, what do we do? You know, brothers call us, okay, let him in. Brother comes in. Then that's when the Tomei character shows up. when this Tomei guy that Jermaine knew shows up, all hell breaks loose. It just starts going downhill from there because he's trying to sabotage us purposely, to get us out the way. He goes back to LA and he tells some news people there that, he's working on a project with Michael Jackson to get a residency at the Hilton, and to confirm it, I had a meeting at his house on Palomino Drive, which was the drive we were on. Michael Amir come, we doing our briefing the next morning. We see that Michael Amir shows us the paper and we got a problem. He done went and told what street, it ain't named the house number, but the street ain't but that long. And then we see a red car with California tags about 4 or 5 days later, a little blonde haired chick sitting there. That's one of the fans. And she's parked different places all along the street, until she finally sees one of the vehicles coming out of it, she recognizes. She gets on her network and then more fans start popping up. Then the paparazzi starts popping up. Fans came from Spain, brother. I never forget, it was 12 of them. They flew all the way from Spain to come meet or sit outside of Michael Jackson's house in Las Vegas weather, summertime, triple digit heat, dry heat, no shade, for a week, brother. From sun up, well, not sun up, to about 9 o'clock in the morning to about 10, 11 o'clock at night. So they've been out there for almost a week. Matter of fact, I see them in the grocery store when I'm on my way to my shift, and they wave and say, "Hey, can you tell Mr. Jackson hello?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" "Oh, we know you work for him." I said, "Damn, they be known, boy. They got their own little CIA intelligence thing. Okay, fans ain't no joke, boy. They intel." Oh, okay, whatever. So anyway, this particular day, we're going all day long. When we leave out of the compound, and I'm the trail vehicle, so I get to see, what's going on. And Michael Jackson rolls the window, he cracks the window down by that much, and he sticks his fingers out waving at them. And brother, they chased us down like we was the ice cream truck. They was running after us, brother, just waving. I'm looking at the side mirror like, that's a daggone shame. Grown men chasing this man down like we selling ice cream or something. We were going all day long. Went to the 4040 Club, Jay-Z's club at the Venetian, and went somewhere else. And then we went to Car. So we had Car Cirque du Soleil. I love that show. I've seen it 3 times. Because the martial arts theme behind it, a little story behind it. And they got all kind of, it's a bad little show the way to do the production. Anyway, we get done with the show. It's late at night. It's about 11 o'clock almost. And we're on the way back. And Michael Jackson wants to talk to the fans. And Brother Deron radios to me, "Brother Mikael, we're going to stop at the gate. Tell the brothers to hold the gate. And Mr. Jackson wants to talk to the fans." I'm thinking, what? You going to talk to the fans? No, he's going to get mobbed. There's too many of them out there. So we pull up to the gate, and I just crack my door open just so I can jump out in case something happens. And I got the radio for the brothers to let them know when to open the gate to the compound or not, And I'm hearing him. And the fans are just, "Oh, Michael, when do you come back to Europe?" And then he's like, "Oh, I'm getting ready for a tour and I'll be back to see you guys soon." And I go, "Oh, what did you do today? Did you have a great day?" "So I had a wonderful day. We went to here, we went there, and we saw Car, the Cirque du Soleil." They said, "Oh, that's a wonderful show. You like it?" "Oh, I love it. You recommend it?" "Oh, I highly recommend it." "Oh, okay." He says, "Well, look, I gotta go. I gotta put the children to bed, and it's wonderful seeing you all. And oh, Michael, we love you. I love you guys too." So Deron's like, "Hey, tell them hit the gate." Okay, hit the gate. So they hit the gate, and we start driving past. Now, one of these guys, I'm 6'2", this guy had to be like 6'4", big Spanish guy, big Spanish brother. And as we driving past, man, this dude dropped down to his knees and was just sobbing, tears down his eyes. And I'm thinking like, wow, it's that deep for them. I called my mom up the next day. My mother's a Pentecostal Christian. I said, "Mom, Michael Jackson is Jesus." "No, he's not." I said, "Oh, you don't understand. Michael Jackson is Jesus." "No, he don't say that's blasphemy." I said, "Mom, you don't understand. I witnessed something last night." And I explained to my mother what happened. I said, grown men dropped to their knees crying like they was Elvis Presley Beatles fans, like they used to see on the films. They crying and passing out. I said, it's like they touched the hem. I said, he's Jesus to them, to his fans. Well, that might be right. I said, "Mom, I'm telling you, man, Jesus to them." Just like Farrakhan, Jesus, and that man, Jesus to them fans, So that was my experience with Michael Jackson. in
Yes,
a
sir.
nutshell.
Amazing. And Tanya said she knows Josh is loving this. Brother Daniel said, Brother Makti Kareem, I think you told the Sony story. Absolutely. And thank you to Tanya for knowing that I love this, because I was only around Michael Jackson one time, doing security at James Brown funeral, and it was the same thing. You know what I'm saying? It was the same thing. Seeing how the fans respond to him. And I didn't act like that, but on the inside, I knew, like,
Right.
still,
And you know what, brother? It's okay. You know what I'm saying? It's okay to have that feeling, because we're recognizing the spirit of God in our entertainers and people that, that mean something to us. I know we kind of clown about it, but at the same time, it's like, nah, man, how many other times you gonna get to see greatness like that and
absolutely.
be in the presence of that? You're great too. I'm great too. We're all, but it's just certain characters, the caliber of characters, certain unique people that we admire for whatever reason, that when Allah bless you to get around them, you like, and you get to observe, like, wow, man, I actually got a chance to see him. I got a chance to talk with that man. I got a chance to, same thing with the ministers, like, man, I got the chance to shake the minister's hand. It's like, whoa, I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that conversation.
Yes, sir.
So it's okay to have that feel. I'm saying, just don't be sitting outside his house in triple digit heat, sweating and carrying on, waiting all day for him to wave his fingers at you out the window. That's all I'm saying. I'm a Sade fan, but I ain't doing all that. I ain't sitting outside the house,
Yes, sir. And, well, speaking of Sade, I always ask all of the guests, what type of music do you like to listen to, Brother Mikael?
I'm a jazz and old school R&B fan.
Okay.
I love jazz. I especially love live music. Like, I love hearing live instruments, I'm a musician, so I love music.
Okay, what do you play? What instrument do you play?
I play alto sax and percussion, but right now I'm learning guitar. I just started learning. Matter of fact, my son is a guitar. My son's been playing guitar over a decade. He's phenomenal. He's taught himself, So I got some braces that I got put on, get my dental work, get my teeth straight, and I can't do my proper embouchure on my saxophones because I don't want to mess up my teeth before I get, finish the dental work. So I said, well, I'm gonna learn a new instrument. My son played guitar. I always wanted to learn guitar. So now I'm learning guitar.
Yes, sir. Okay, excellent. And Brother Mike D. Kareem says Shaka Khan and Sade is his favorite. And
they are. I love their voices.
Absolutely. Excellent. And I hope that your son gets a chance to play some Jimi Hendrix, some Eric Clapton, and all of the great guitars, man. I mean, like, guitar, that's a cool instrument to me.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay, my next question for you, Brother Mikael, is outside of Michael Jackson and doing that, the anxiety, have you ever faced fear? And if so, how did you overcome that fear?
Ooh, brother, I'm telling you, the what I described earlier about my start of the conscientious objective process in the Marine Corps, to date, that's probably one of my biggest challenges I've ever faced. And yeah, I can admit there was some fear, because you're talking about, matter of fact, ironic that today is the Marine Corps birthday. They're celebrating 246 years. You're talking 246 years of death and destruction of an expeditionary force that's trained the way they train. And so I know the history. I know, so when I went through the process and I watched some of the other brothers who were going through, there was a lot of brothers who were doing conscious objective at that time. It wasn't just me. It was a wave of brothers. And to the point, it was alarming to those in command in the military. That's a conflict. Well, wait a minute, we trying to go to war, but we got a war with the ones in our ranks that ain't with the BS and job that we doing. Yes, and they claim too. So that's a problem, And so I'm observing what's happening to all the brothers around me. Matter of fact, my brother Rashawn here, who's here with me in Charlotte, he got put in the brig. He was in the air wing. He got put in the brig. Another brother I knew got put in the brig. And I ain't scared to go in the brig. I like to fight. So I'm thinking, well, hey, this might be, every day I came on the base, I kind of figured like this might be the day they take me to the brig. We'll just, I say my prayer in the morning, read the Quran and do my studies and write my letter, practice my letter and stuff. And then I get my mind in gear to go to the base and deal with the madness every day. So it's challenging. So, but I'm a strategist. So when I observed what was going on with everybody else and how they were playing their cards and it wasn't going right, I knew that my godfather that I mentioned, Master Gunnery Sergeant Washington, he was also a Shriner. He's a Shriner. And I took leave. I took 30 days leave and came home to DC. So I'm gonna talk to my godfather, and I'm gonna see what his advice is and get his counsel on this decision of trying to separate from the Marine Corps, you know. And initially I thought he was gonna chew me out, you know, but that wasn't the case. And I explained to him, I said, you know, Master Gunny, you know, I've been around the brothers with the Nation of Islam, and I'm trying to get with the Nation of Islam and be a registered member, but they're telling me I can't do that because I'm still enlisted in the Marine Corps and I still got X amount of time before I get out, you know. And you know, I wanted to make my career, but I really feel like this is where I'm supposed to be. Like I'm supposed to be doing something with the Nation of Islam and the community. And I've been looking for God, and I found God, and it's God's army. And I can't be a devil dog in the Marine Corps and be in God's army. And, you know, so Master Gunny said, all right, tell you what I do. One of my partners is the adjutant to the Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps. I said, oh, now that position, the adjutant, that's like the person who does all the administration and clerical stuff for the top enlisted Marine in the Marine Corps, the Sergeant Major Marine Corps. The Sergeant Major Marine Corps is like the right-hand man of the Commandant of the Marine Corps. You know, so for us, that'd be like the Supreme and Assistant Supreme kind of something.
Yes, sir.
So this is my godfather's friend is the man who handles all the paperwork, you know. And he says, his name's Sergeant Major Morris. I'm gonna get Sergeant Major on the line. Hold on. So he calls him up. Sergeant Major Morris is also a Shriner. So they're shrine buddies, you know, in the Mason thing, the Masonry thing.
Yes, sir.
It's Masonic order and, you know, all that kind of thing. And so he's telling him, hey, this is one of my godsons. He's trying to get with Minister Farrakhan, you know, and this is that, the other. So I told him I'm passing on to you. I'm on the phone now with the adjutant to the Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps. He says, hey, you Master Gunny, tell me you want to get with Minister Farrakhan. I said, yes, Sergeant Major. He said, oh man, we love Minister Farrakhan. Oh, yes, okay, Sergeant Major. He said, have you started your conscious objective process yet? I said, no, Sergeant Major. I came to talk to my godfather before I even started, you know. He said, well, let me tell you what they're gonna do. I'm thinking, whoa, a lot of something. He's showing me the whole plan. He said, look, he said, you're gonna have to get 5 endorsements up your chain of command. And it's either, he says, all founded on your sincerity. You know, are you sincere in your belief and your conviction as a conscious objective? And that is 2 types of conscientious objectives. Maybe the fans don't know, people don't know that. One type of conscious objective is somebody who's just totally opposed to fighting a war at all. You know, you just be like, I don't want to kill a bug. I don't want to step on an ant. I don't want to take another life. I'm opposed to any type of violence or fighting whatsoever. That's one type. The other type is you are a conscious objector under the grounds of your moral conviction prevents you from taking the life of another human being for the wrong cause. It's not worded that way, but it's kind of like that's what it translates out to. So I knew I wasn't going to qualify for the first one because I like to fight. This is the Marine Corps. Been trained to kill. I can't come and say, I don't know how to kill. I don't want to kill. I already been trained. That wasn't the thing. And I don't ever want that on my record like I was, you know, I got punked or something. I don't want that.
Yes, sir.
So he's breaking this down to me about the 5 endorsements. He said, basically, in your chain of command, they're just going to try to disprove your sincerity. And they can you're either favorable or they can say yay or nay, you know, favorable endorsement, or they can say nay. He said, and normally I go with what they say because I don't know who the people are in the fleet and who they are. So normally I go with what their recommendations are. If it's 4 out of 5 say no, then hey, I'm gonna give you a dishonorable discharge, you know. He said, but since you Master Gunny's godson, he said, I'm gonna just require you 2 things. I said, yes, Sergeant Major. He said, 1, keep your nose clean. Well, that's no problem. I don't do drugs. I don't drink. I'm Muslim. He said, okay. And number 2, stay squared away. So you do those 2 things. He said, when your paperwork comes across my desk, I'm going to give you a general under honorable conditions discharge. That's right below an honorable. He said, only reason you're not going to get an honorable because you told me that you signed up for 6 years and you've only done like half of your time right now. You know, he says, I can't, by the rules, I can't give you an honorable. He said, but you can always file for upgrade later on. I said, okay. So I'm knowing I got my end game in place before I even start. So even though that was in place, that kind of helped me to get over some of the apprehension and the fears that was, you know, coming up in me, like, shh. Because then when I get back, now I'm going back to Camp Pendleton. I'm in a fighting unit. I'm in an infantry unit. That's, you know, it's a different kind of mindset, different kind of environment, you know, and many of these are good old boys and rednecks and undercover Ku Klux Klan members and all that stuff, you know. And so weekly, brother, I'm getting little threats and stuff. They would, because I'm an NCO, I had a little box at the headquarters office because I was over the maintenance and over some other people. And they would put little stuff in my box, little envelopes and stuff. And I'd go look at it and there'd be a news clipping about, oh yeah, this Marine got, you know, life, he got sent to the brig or he got sent to Leavenworth because this, that, the other conscious objective. I'm like, oh, these a-holes. I'm next tank. And then it's, oh, 19 such and such, 2 Marines were lynched here in Camp Horno. Why y'all putting that stuff in my box about a lynching? You know, so there's all these little subtle threats and stuff that was coming at me, let me know, like, you know, basically I couldn't be an NCO, a position that's very revered in the Marine Corps. They could call them the backbone of the Marine Corps, and have this kind of mindset because I'm being influential with the other Marines that's around me, especially the young brothers who are coming in. And I'm blasting my public enemy. I got Dr. Khaled on tape, and I got the minister on tape, and I'm selling final calls and bean pies at Camp Pendleton. And on Saturdays, I'm in Oceanside, which is right outside the base. Every Saturday morning, I'm on the main street there selling final calls. I sold final calls to my CO, you know, so they know that I'm with this. But while I'm on the base, I'm getting these little threats and stuff. And I know every day I go there, they can actually carry that thing out. You know, so did I face fear? Hell yeah, I faced fear. But what helped me overcome that was the assurance that Allah was guiding my path with the different people he was putting in my path, who were showing me what the end game was, no matter what. So I knew it don't matter what this devil do. I'm already the winner. Even if they put me in the brig, I'm still gonna win. And, you know, so when you know you're gonna win at the end, you kind of can go through it a little easier, you know what I'm saying? If you already assured a victory beforehand. And it got to the point, brother, I had to flip that thing. You know, when I felt days, I give you an example. One of the steps in the process, they give you a psychological evaluation. So you gotta go talk to this Navy doctor, this high-ranking Navy doctor, and they give you this 500 questionnaire. 500 questions, you know, do you believe in UFOs? Have you ever seen a UFO? You know, you do, and it'd be the same question, sometimes different word or different, you know, do you talk to yourself? Do you, all that little crazy stuff, right? And I just made sure my stuff was consistent and I'm paying attention, you know. And at the end of all that, I got to have an interview with this officer. And he says, so when did you convert to Islam? I said, excuse me, sir? He said, when did you convert to Islam? I said, well, I never converted to Islam. Well, what do you mean? I'm looking on your service record book. It says you were a Christian before. You had to have converted. I said, no, sir, I never converted. I said, I just discovered who I really was. He said, look here, Marine, if you're going to play this goddamn game like that, I'll pick up this phone right now. He said, you still in the Marine Corps, and I'll get the MPs to come and haul your ass to the brig. I said, respectfully, sir, you don't have enough MPs on this base to take me anywhere I don't desire to go. Then when I said that, I thought about it. Why the hell did I just say that? He had his hand on that phone, and I think I just pissed him off. Probably gonna make that phone call. And I don't know if I can fight all these MPs today. I don't fucking know bruises. Then I thought about it, and I said, well, sir, the way you asked me the question, it implies, you know, that I made some type of conversion, that I changed to something. I said, one of the words of wisdom that we were given was to accept our own and be ourselves. If I'm being myself, then I'm only coming into the knowledge of being myself. So there's no conversion or change in that respect. So then he looked and said, Oh, okay, well, let's go with that then. And then we proceeded with the question. Was I scared? Hell yeah, I was scared. I'm like, shoot, yeah. But MPs coming, they ain't like the police out here in the streets, man. They coming with some force and authority and to bust you up, and ain't nobody you can cry to. Especially because I'm already on the wanted list. I'm already Raymond Reddington. They don't like me, I'm like the blacklist because I'm doing the conscious objective thing, So man, and so what I would do, Brother Joshua, whenever I had that kind of anxiety, which is not normal for me. I'm not, just because of my training helps you overcome those things. That's why it's important about the training, because it helps you overcome fears. You have natural fears, but then there's other fears that are induced because you don't know how to handle certain things, or you just know how to respond. But my training was such that I was fearless, and then I came to the teaching, and I'm hearing Dr. Khaled talking, and I'm hearing the minister talking, and man, there's a lot of soldiers that's representing, so I'm fearless. But if I had that inkling, I would flip that thing. I would flip it on them, because I know they are fearful as well. So when they threaten me and put that thing on my box about the hangings, the two lynchings, I went to the company gunny. Hey, gunny, what the hell is this? I don't talk to my man. Now you know what the hell is talking. Well, I ain't put that in your box. Hey, well, let's find out who put this in the goddamn box. Oh, the first sergeant. Now these are people who are higher ranked than I am. These are people who can say they can bust me down or take my pay. But I'm talking to them like I'm in authority. Hey, this is out of line. What y'all trying to say? You gonna lynch me? You ain't got no. Hey, y'all keep forgetting. I got the same training you got. So if you won't threaten me, what you think I'm gonna do? I'm gonna start resorting to guerrilla tactics. Slit your goddamn throats while y'all sleep. You play with me if you want to. Like, I had to flip that thing on them and make them think like, oh, snap, you're right. I don't know what you're thinking. Y'all think I'm conscious objective, like I'm scared to fight. No, I just don't want to fight for the wrong reasons. But give me the right reason. Or we had out all day long. Try me. Put your hands and I'll take you off the face of this planet. My first sergeant had to remove me from my unit because me and my gunny went at it just like that. And I told the gunny, he told me, for somebody who's supposed to be passive, you show are belligerent. I said, first of all, I'm not belligerent. I've been very respectful, gunny. I always refer to you as gunny sergeant or gunny. I've never called you outside your name. So I don't know where you get this belligerence from. And I really don't know where you got the idea that I'm passive. As though you can put your hands on me and nothing will come about that. I said, if you got that in your mind, you better get that out of your mind quick, fast, because you ever put your hands on me, I'll remove you from the face of the planet. His face got red. He walked away. Next time I'm in the first sergeant office. That's who's over him. Why are you threatening my gunny, Corporal Shabazz? I didn't threaten the gunny. I just told him if he thought I was passive and he was going to put his hands on me, that he need to rethink that thing. So I had to flip that thing back on them, to get rid of that. And it's like, wow. And then Allah show you, man, hey, the reason why they had to make us fearful is because they are afraid of us.
Yes, sir.
They are afraid deep, and they can't help themselves, especially when it's more than one of us and we all in accord. Oh man, send shivers down their spine, brother. They can't take it. They can't handle it.
Yes, sir.
I hope that answered your question about the.
No, it absolutely did. It absolutely did.
But yeah, the military training, and I'm in the martial arts training. I'm in like a hardcore traditional style under Hanchi Tyrone Sharif. Matter of fact, and I got to mention that, brother, because talk about influential people. Brother Captain Salim is one, and then my brother Tyrone Sharif, he was in the Marine Corps as well, and he used to be a drill instructor at drill instructor school. Meaning he's the instructor that trains the instructors that trains Marines. It don't get no bigger than that. I've seen his resume before. It was like 11 pages of just all the stuff that brother had done in the Marine Corps. So now by the time brother Captain Salim sees that brother, I told you, Salim had a knack for recognizing talent and putting talent in the right places and utilized for the right things, stuff, And my brother went to Chicago. After he got registered in San Diego, it took him a long time. He got registered in San Diego. He's from Chicago. He moved back there with a calling that was on him to give his gifts and talents to the men in the nation. And he wrote up, I got some of that stuff still on my computer, things that he would run by me, and we were trying to put it in a way that the language would be the language of our people. you know, because coming from the military is one way. And that's another thing. I'm gonna say these two things on that point. You know, for the brothers who came out of the military into the NOI, it was already a rough transition for many of us. You know, I went through my journey, but then we got opposition in the NOI because everybody kept telling, brother, we don't do that, devil's military. Brother, we don't want that devil's military right here. Devil's this, devil this. Everything was prefixed with devil. We don't care. I'm a conscious objector. I gave up that stuff. Why are you attacking me? You know, but I am trained. After a period of time, I got sick of that stuff. And I asked the brother, I ain't gonna say the city. I don't want to embarrass nobody. I was in a particular city, and a brother made that comment again. A brother said, you think you know, because you got that devil's military in your head. I said, brother, everything that I've written was written and inspired by what I read from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And Captain Salim told me, don't throw that material away. That some of it was good, so I put it in a language that we can identify with. And I said, but brother, you keep prefixing my training with devil, which negates anything that comes after devil. Who wants anything that's from the devil? I said, but brother, you went to that culinary arts school. You got that fine training with the culinary arts. You would be offended if somebody said that was the devil's culinary school and prefixed your training with devil. So why do you do that to me, brother? Does it make you feel bigger? You know, oh, brother, I didn't think about that. Exactly, well, think about that. So from that point, I said, man, y'all can cut that stuff out. Cut that devil's stuff. Don't keep, because military is military. Just like martial arts. Martial arts is martial arts. You don't say devil's martial art. No, it's martial arts. Now, who's teaching and what they do with it, now that's a whole different story. Same thing with military. Who's over and what they do with it, now that determines whether it's the devil or not. So my brother Tyrone, Hanshi Tyrone Street, that's my instructor. I trained with him for years, got my black belt under him, and man, hardcore traditional Okinawan Kempo and Shotokan, and just a no-nonsense straight warrior. Comes to Chicago wanting to share what he's got, gets rejected, gets put down, gets belittled, talked to. We had conversation, and that brings me full circle back